I have been a stuntman for a long time, done a lot of different films, played characters that, mostly bad guys that are stunt related, so they'll think about casting a stunt person that might be able to act as opposed to an actor, then having to double them and shoot around their face and everything else. Just easier to get a stunt person to play the part. And I had done a few parts like that. I got the job of stunt coordinating a movie called Prison, and that's where I met John Buechler. I guess it was quite an achievement for John to even convince the executives at Paramount that I should be considered to play Jason.
I actually pitched him to Frank Mancuso and showed him a headshot and a resume, and he says, he's fine, but, you know, I don't really care, but he looks kind of small to me. I don't think he can play Jason. So I actually got together with a buddy of mine, Tom Calloway, who ended up shooting a lot of the second unit on the movie, and Kane, and we created a mock-up suit with a hockey mask and shot a test where he's picking up a guy and throwing him through walls and stabbing people, and it sold Frank that, okay, I understand what you're trying to do here. My intention was to redesign the look of Jason specifically to reflect all the damage that had been done to him in the previous movies, and the fact that he had been chained to the bottom of a lake for 10 years at the beginning of the movie gave me a starting point. I mean, he was resurrected from the dead in the previous one. They shoved the blades of a motorboat into his neck and his face. And I just got tired of seeing, you know, a guy in a gray costume wearing gloves with a hockey mask walking around, and there was nothing wrong with him. So I made a lot wrong with him. That aside, I also wanted to have an opportunity to do some really striking, over-the-top situations with regard to the story. And there was a lot of conversations being had. Ultimately, we settled upon, you know, him meeting a match that would really challenge him.
Jason?
He was very animated, and he was one of my first directors, and he was very kind. And that was really important because a lot of them aren't kind. They just will start yelling at you, you know, if you're not getting it. And Tina had all of the psychic stuff that I wasn't seeing. Some of the effects were done with me in there, and some were done later. So he would talk me through what was going to happen and how quickly to move my eyes or move my head.
Hey, Tina, isn't this the way they weather Jack is back in the mental hospital?
Wow! We shot in Bay Minette, Alabama for, by and large, logistic reasons. We were shooting in the middle of winter time. We had to have naked kids go into a lake and swim. We had to blow up a house on a lakefront. So if you're going to shoot in January in the continental United States, and you want the forest rangers on your side, and you're going to blow up a house on the edge of a lake, you find a state that's amenable to your concept.
They had an alligator wrangler, and he was like 80 years old and moved really slow. And we'd be way back in the woods, and he'd be turning, and you're like, what? What's that? An alligator, you know. I don't really know if they were there or not, but you'd hear this rustling in the water, and it's pitch black. And they'd say action, and we were to run out, and it's like, no problem, I'm out of here. I was like running. So I remember that night. I didn't think he could turn fast enough to shoot one if it were coming.
underwater stuff was incredibly difficult just because I had to hold my breath so many times that day. You don't even think about it, but if you have to hold your breath as long as you can for, 80 times during a day, it wears you out. I was exhausted after that day, and all I did was sit underwater. There were so many different stunts I had to do as Jason because the story was that the girl had telekinetic powers and made things happen with her mind so she could have anything happen to Jason. Normally, Jason, the violence he is delivering to other people, so the stunts are on those characters. But it was a lot more fun for me because I had so many stunts to do. I'm not really very short, and the window wasn't all that high from the bottom of the windowsill to the top. It was all breakaway glass, and I had to just run and crash through it. But I had to crouch and run at the same time and crash through it without really looking uncoordinated. And when I jumped through the window, my head cleared the upper real window frame by a quarter of an inch or something, so I got lucky on that one. The scene that was written where, and as I remember it, in the script, it was written where Jason follows the two people up the stairs to where the door, of course, is locked and they have no way out. I walk up the stairs, get to the top, and as written was, she makes the light shake and swing and hit me in the chest, and I tumble down the stairs. And I remember talking to John about that, saying, it's kind of weak. I mean, first of all, I think the light should hit him in the face, which is no problem since I had the hockey mask on. And then I said, what if, he's a big monster guy. He's not going to go tumbling downstairs. What if he just falls through them? So we manufactured, once I was at the top of the stairs, we manufactured balsa wood stairs for about 10 of them or something. And I remember just falling backwards, which wasn't that difficult. Although it was a small area to fall into, I had to be right on the mark going backwards. And I wanted to fall like a tree, which is why it's such a dramatic fall going through the steps. And I had a landing area underneath, but it was very narrow. And come to find out after the stunt that I went and looked at the stairs, and my head had crashed through the very last balsa wood stair. The one right below that, which is only 2 inches away, was where the practical one started. So it's a good thing I didn't go any further, because I would have really smashed my head on the real wood.
I pretended to act like I was a stunt woman. Where did that come from? Not doing it again. I fell through the ceiling in the house myself, and Kane helped me, and he had a big mat, and it didn't hurt, it just freaked me out. Little bitty fall. Looks dramatic, but freaked me out. And then they gave me a stunt woman's, a t-shirt like stunt woman, so I said, oh, I can do that fall on the pier. Oh, I can do that, Sure, I'll slide on the pier. Ah! About 8 times later, sliding on a wooden pier in the cold. Not cool. It was very hard. So, stunt women, love you.
And the fire scene is really one of the most difficult ones I've done. I've done a lot of fire, fully engulfed fire stunts, but that was different because of the costume I had to wear, and also the fact that we ignited on camera, which I guess you don't really think about it, but most often when you see someone on fire, you cut from something else to the shot of him already on fire. It's done quickly, so you don't really notice, but in this we had the ignition, Lou Carlucci rigged a propane cannon so it would blast fire out of the furnace, whatever, and ignited me on camera, and then I did the stunt, and I was on fire for like 40-something seconds, which was extremely long at the time. Still is fairly long, but back then it was almost unheard of. But because of the stuff that I had to wear as the character, we were able to manufacture some safe materials to be able to do that.
Run! Attack!